Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Pat Neppy here from PNLearning.net, and I've got another video here in my series on SAT practice test number 2. This test is no longer available on the College Board website, but I did dig it up and I wanted to go through all of the questions on the part 3 and part 4 for you. We're currently going through part 3 and we are up to number 12. Reminder, this is a non-calculator question, so we won't really be needing one for this one anyway, because the entire question is in letters. Sounds like fun. All right, let's try it out. So we've got an equation here, R equals F over N plus F. A website uses the formula above to calculate a seller's rating, R, based on the number of favorable views, F, and unfavorable reviews, N. Which of the following expresses the number of favorable reviews in terms of the other variables? Okay, huge on the SAT math sections. There are usually several questions which use this phrase in terms of. Once you see the phrase in terms of, you want to automatically remember that you're just going to try to isolate one of these letters, and you're going to do that by using the reverse order of operations. That's the same way we solve any equation, right? If we have x and it's got a bunch of stuff around it, we simply do the reverse order of operations until we can kind of isolate that letter out and get a solution. So our question here is going to start with R isolated, and our goal is to sort of get the letter F isolated. Okay, so how will you isolate the F? Well, for me, I think it would be easy to first remember that any whole number or quantity like R, this can be written as a fraction, and when we have a fraction equal to a fraction, it's going to allow us to cross multiply. So we're going to get F times 1, you're going to get F equaling R times the denominator N plus F. And so we've got an F alone. We should just check to see if this is an answer choice, but of course it isn't, because we've got another F here. We haven't really expressed F in terms of the other variables. We've expressed F in terms of the other variables and itself. So what we have to do here is just distribute out the R, and we're going to then get that F equals Rn plus Rf. And now we're able to kind of take this plus Rf and get it to the other side. Rf is just some number, right? We can see that it's being added. Let's just subtract that on both sides. And if we subtract that, we're going to be able to get both f's on the same side. And so when we have f minus rf, we should realize that, hey, these are both like terms in a sense. You have basically 1f minus rf, and what you could do in this case is actually combine them so that you have 1 minus rf. Now, if that's confusing for anybody, let me just kind of remind people of a similar situation. Let's say we had x, right? And then we had that on the left-hand side of an equation, and we were minusing 2x. Normally in our heads, we just think 1 minus 2, right? We write 1 minus 2 is negative 1, and we just write negative 1x. Really what we're doing, though, is we're taking this coefficient 1 and we are subtracting 2 from it. We're actually doing 1 minus 2, which is ending up to be negative 1x. And that's how we're getting negative 1x. So if you think about it, this step right here is usually something we do completely in our heads. And it's familiar to us because we see two numbers that we recognize and we just combine those like terms. In this example, however, we have an R here, and we don't really have the 1. We have to kind of imagine that this 1 is here. As long as we can realize that we don't treat the R any differently from any other coefficient of f, we should be able to make this leap, right? We have 1f minus rf, which gives you 1 minus rf. The only difference between this and the situation I just showed you in blue is that we can't actually subtract r from 1. We don't know what r is. So in that case, we just leave it as written. And then we have 1 minus rf equal to rn. And now, in order to get our f alone, we've only got to do one more thing. We have to divide both sides by 1 minus r. And what this allows us to do is cancel out 1 minus r and finally get us f completely alone. And we're going to end up not really being able to simplify this much. We just have r times n over 1 minus r. we're going to check our multiple choice answer choices and see that this is one of our choices, right? We have Rn over 1 minus R. That would be choice B. And that is pretty much this question. So what we're doing here is a combination of distributive property, cross multiplication, and then just sort of being very clever about how to get our equation from having two separate f's, right? We started with an f here and an f here, and just trying to get them so that they could be combined into one f. And that all really happens right here in this step. What we're going to end up seeing is that we cancel out the RFs, we subtract RF from both sides, and we get left with 1F minus RF. And that ends up allowing us to do a sort of weird combination of like terms. And again, just treat 1 and R just as you would treat two coefficients that you knew, like 1 and 2. And if you go ahead and do that, you'll be able to get a single x term. We're going to turn two x's into a single x term, and that's pretty much how it goes. All right, so that's it for this question. If you can think of a better or quicker way to go about doing this problem, definitely leave me a comment and explain what we should do. I always like to get a better or quicker solution if it's out there, and certainly I don't know all the best solutions even after teaching SATs for over 10 years. So if you've got one, definitely share that out, and that way we can sort of crowdsource the best possible solutions on each of these problems. If you found this video helpful, definitely give it a like, subscribe to my channel, or share this video with somebody else you know who's doing SAT prep. And as a reminder, I do offer one-on-one SAT prep and also group SAT courses at my website, PNLearning.net. So find your way over there if you think that's something that would be helpful for you. But that's it for number 12, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.